Stop scrolling for 1 second, because one of the most controversial celebrity stories in the world may finally be reaching the moment critics have predicted for years. And the man at the center of that prediction is Piers Morgan, the broadcaster who lost one of the biggest jobs on British television after publicly refusing to believe Meghan Markle during the fallout from her explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, because now, years later, many of the same claims he was mocked for making are suddenly reappearing in public one after another in ways even critics are struggling to ignore. And whether you love him or hate him, this entire situation has become impossible to look away from, because it is no longer just about celebrity gossip or royal drama. It is about credibility, contradictions, image management, power, money, and the growing feeling among millions of people that something about this story has never fully added up. And the reason this conversation has exploded again is because within just a few weeks, Meghan created what critics are calling one of the biggest contradictions of her entire public life when she appeared in a carefully staged interview with close friend Jamie Kern-Lima and described her life as the happiest she had ever been, praising her children, her marriage to Prince Harry, and her peaceful California lifestyle while presenting herself as fulfilled, calm, and completely at peace, only to later repost a quote describing the last 7 years as the hardest years of her life, a timeline that takes viewers directly back to 2018, the year she married Harry and officially entered the royal family. And suddenly critics everywhere were asking the exact same question Piers Morgan has asked for years: which version is the truth? Because both cannot fully exist together without creating serious doubt, and that is where this entire story begins, with contradictions that seem to grow larger the more people pay attention. Because even after Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties in 2020, publicly rejecting the institution and leaving royal life behind, critics argue the Sussex brand continues leaning heavily on royal imagery, prestige, titles, and symbolism, something Piers Morgan has repeatedly described as trying to hold both the victim narrative and the royal spotlight at the same time. Because according to him, you cannot attack the monarchy publicly while continuing to benefit from the fascination attached to it privately. And that criticism only intensified after Meghan referred to herself as a princess during a conversation with children, a moment critics instantly seized on because technically she is not a princess by title. Yet the royal framing continues appearing around the brand again and again, and for many viewers that has created a growing identity problem surrounding the Sussex image, because people are starting to wonder whether Meghan truly wants freedom from the monarchy or simply freedom from its restrictions while still keeping its global influence. And then came the Serena Williams moment that was supposed to be a perfect public relations win, but instead turned into a viral disaster across social media within hours. It's because Meghan's lifestyle brand sent products to Serena Williams for an unboxing video that many viewers described as awkward from the very beginning, when damaged chocolates appeared visibly broken on camera. And Serena admitted she does not even particularly like chocolate before struggling to pronounce several candle ingredients while attempting to praise the products. And instantly the internet turned the entire video into a meme, with critics arguing it exposed deeper problems surrounding the luxury image Meghan has tried to build, especially after additional reports surfaced online about damaged packaging, candles allegedly arriving without wicks, and questions surrounding weak sales numbers connected to the brand launch, and whether fair or unfair the public perception shifted rapidly, because luxury branding depends entirely on flawless presentation. And once audiences begin laughing at a premium image, it becomes incredibly difficult to regain that aura of exclusivity. But the controversy surrounding the Sussexes moved beyond branding and celebrity drama entirely when Prince Harry traveled to Ukraine and delivered comments encouraging international leadership during the conflict. Because critics immediately pointed out that Harry no longer represents the monarchy officially after stepping away from royal duties, yet he was speaking on a major geopolitical issue while still carrying the visibility and influence of a royal title. And timing made the situation even more explosive, because the speech occurred close to a major diplomatic engagement involving King Charles III and the United States, leading critics, including Piers Morgan, to argue Harry was freelancing politically while benefiting from the royal identity he publicly left behind. And suddenly, what might have been viewed as a charitable or humanitarian appearance transformed into a serious debate about authority, responsibility, and whether former working royals should continue operating on the world stage in ways that blur the line between celebrity activism and unofficial diplomacy. And then came the moment royal watchers immediately recognized as deeply symbolic during a major speech in America, when King Charles referenced cities tied historically to members of the royal family, yet noticeably omitted Harry entirely. Something casual viewers may not have noticed but royal commentators instantly interpreted as deliberate, because royal families rarely communicate through direct confrontation and instead relies on symbolism, gestures, omissions, and carefully controlled public messaging. And Piers Morgan described the moment as a cold but unmistakable signal that tensions between Harry and the institution may have crossed a line that cannot easily be repaired. Especially as conversations continue surrounding the future of royal titles and the possibility of formal distancing from the Sussexes becoming more permanent over time. And while supporters continue defending Meghan and Harry as victims of relentless scrutiny, critics argue another pattern has become impossible to ignore: the long list of fractured relationships surrounding Meghan's public life. Because over the years, multiple family members, former friends, royal staffers, advisors, and employees have reportedly fallen out of her orbit. Something Piers Morgan has consistently argued reveals more about the situation than any interview ever could. Especially after Kensington Palace announced a formal bullying inquiry in 2021 involving allegations from staff members during Meghan's royal years, a move that shocked observers precisely because the royal institution traditionally avoids public conflict unless issues become impossible to contain privately. And although the findings of that investigation were never publicly released, the controversy never fully disappeared, especially after reports surfaced referencing internal emails and staff concerns that painted a damaging picture of workplace tensions behind palace walls. And while Meghan's team strongly denied those allegations and described the timing as politically motivated, critics argue the combination of repeated staff turnover, fractured relationships, and ongoing public disputes continues reinforcing the perception that instability follows the Sussex operation almost everywhere it goes. And then there's the issue Piers Morgan has repeatedly warned could become the most serious legal problem of all: Prince Harry's U.S. visa controversy. Because after Harry openly discussed past drug use in his memoir Spare, the Heritage Foundation pursued legal action seeking access to immigration records connected to his visa application, arguing the public had a legitimate interest in whether those admissions matched information provided to U.S. authorities, leading to years of court filings, government resistance, judicial rulings, and heavily redacted document releases that kept the controversy alive, despite no public evidence proving wrongdoing. And although government filings stated there was no evidence Harry's received special treatment, critics continue focusing on the fact that the actual visa application itself has never been publicly released, meaning the uncertainty remains unresolved and continues feeding speculation surrounding what may or may not appear in future legal developments. And as these controversies continue piling up, financial questions surrounding the Sussex brand have also become increasingly difficult to ignore, because major entertainment partnerships that once appeared unstoppable have shifted dramatically over time. With Spotify ending its relationship and ongoing speculation surrounding the long-term future of Netflix arrangements, while Meghan's lifestyle business faces growing skepticism about whether it can realistically sustain the level of luxury branding and public attention required to support the couple's high-profile California lifestyle indefinitely. And according to some reports, critics now believe the Sussexes may eventually face serious financial pressure if current revenue streams fail to evolve into more stable long-term businesses. Something Piers Morgan has predicted for years, while arguing celebrity attention alone cannot support an empire forever, because eventually audiences stop watching interviews and start looking for results. And perhaps the most important reason this entire debate refuses to disappear is because of the statement that changed Piers Morgan's career permanently back in 2021 when, following the Oprah interview, he looked directly into the camera and said he did not believe Meghan Markle, a comment that triggered massive backlash, tens of thousands of complaints, international headlines, and ultimately his departure from British morning television. Yet, despite the professional fallout, he never retracted the statement and continued defending his position publicly for years afterward. And now supporters argue that many of the contradictions, controversies, public disputes, and unresolved questions that followed have slowly pushed broader public opinion closer toward the skepticism he originally expressed. And whether people agree with him or not, the reason this story still dominates headlines years later is because it touches something larger than royalty or celebrity culture. It taps directly into modern society's obsession with authenticity itself. Because in an era built on branding, curated interviews, streaming documentaries, social media narratives, emotional confessions, and carefully managed public images, audiences are becoming increasingly suspicious of contradictions they once ignored, and that may be the real reason this entire saga continues captivating millions of people around the world. Because underneath all the titles, scandals, interviews, speeches, lawsuits, branding disasters, And royal tension lies one simple question nobody seems able to answer with certainty anymore. Who is telling the truth? And until the public feels it finally has that answer, this story is not ending anytime soon.